Hello everyone. In today's video, we will discuss about the manufacturing and the related cyber attack on our smart factories. Let's get started.
All right, let's talk about the future of manufacturing. By 2026, the factory floor isn't just a place of innovation, it's a battleground. You see, all this amazing digital transformation, all the efficiency gains, well, they come with a huge risk. A new kind of industrialized cyber adversary is ready to exploit every single connection. This isn't just about building walls anymore, it's about building resilience. So, let's dive into the blueprint you're going to need to survive. So, let's just get right to it with a pretty shocking fact. For the fourth year in a row, manufacturing isn't just a target. It is the #1 most attacked industry sector in the entire world. This isn't some far-off prediction, you know? This is happening right now, and it's only getting worse. The question isn't if you're going to get hit anymore. The real question is, when you do, can you keep operating right through it? So, here's our game plan for this explainer. First, we're going to dig into why manufacturing is suddenly in the hot seat. Then, we'll meet the new adversary. These guys are seriously organized. After that, we'll see why the old ways of doing security are just not cutting it anymore. Then, the good part. We'll lay out a blueprint for 2026. And finally, we'll flip the script and show you how to turn all of this into a real competitive advantage. All right, first up, let's talk about why your factory, specifically, is now public enemy #1. What is it that makes these environments just so attractive to attackers? Just take a look at these numbers. Manufacturing accounts for over a quarter of all cyber attacks on critical infrastructure. Think about that for a second. That's more than banking, more than insurance, more than the energy sector. This isn't random. It's a calculated move. Attackers are focusing on the one place where the digital and the physical worlds crash into each other with the biggest impact. So, what creates this perfect storm for attackers? Well, it's a few things. They know that for you, downtime is unbelievably expensive. That puts massive pressure on you to just pay a ransom to get the line moving again. They also know you're sitting on a gold mine of intellectual property. But the real weak link? It's the technology itself. It's this messy, complex mix of modern IT systems plugged directly into old-school operational technology, the OT that runs the machines. And a lot of that OT was built decades ago and can't even be patched. Okay, so who exactly are we up against? Because let me tell you, we're not talking about some lone hacker in a dark basement anymore. The new face of cybercrime is professional, it's organized, and it's industrialized. You really have to start thinking of these cybercrime groups like corporations. Seriously. They have different departments, they use AI and automation, they have business goals, and their main KPI, it's throughput. It's all about speed. How quickly can they get in, find what's valuable, and turn that access into cash? It's a complete shift from individual hacking to an industrial-scale operation, and that changes everything. And look, these aren't just scattershot attacks. They are laser-focused and tailored to each industry. For automotive, they'll hit you with ransomware to stop the production line cold. For pharma, they're after your drug formulas. In food and beverage, they might even try to sabotage a batch. The point is, they know your business, and they know exactly where to hit you to make it hurt the most. And when we look just a couple of years down the road, well, their toolkit gets a serious upgrade. We're talking about ransomware that uses AI to hide from your defenses. They're breaking into your trusted vendors to poison software updates. They're using your own IoT sensors on the factory floor to spy on you. And maybe the scariest one, silent sabotage. This is where they don't shut you down. They just subtly change your production data, causing tiny defects that you might not find for months. So you might be thinking, we have defenses for this, right? We have firewalls. Well, that brings us to the next section, and it's where the problem really starts. The old ways of doing things, like relying on a mythical air gap, they just don't work anymore. If you had any doubt, this data puts it to rest. The whole idea of an air gap, that your factory floor is totally separate from your corporate IT network, yeah, that's officially dead. We see here that 70% of OT systems are already connected to IT, and the result is pretty staggering. 3/4 of attacks on the factory floor don't even start there. They start with a phishing email on the IT side, and then the attacker just walks right over to the OT network and takes down production. And here's where things get really complicated. The very people who are supposed to be protecting you, your IT and OT teams, are often playing by completely different rulebooks. IT security is all about protecting data, confidentiality, integrity, availability. But for the OT team on the factory floor, their #1 priority is physical safety. Then it's keeping the machines available and reliable. An OT engineer can't just take a machine offline to install a patch. That could cause a bigger problem than the vulnerability itself. This conflict right here is why so many defenses fail. So, what does this all mean? It means that the old castle and moat approach to security is completely broken. Your old firewalls, your traditional antivirus, they were never built for this world where IT and OT are completely blended. They create huge blind spots, and they simply can't see an attacker moving from a laptop in accounting to a controller on your production line, leaving your most valuable assets wide open.
Okay, that was a lot of doom and gloom, I get it. But now, let's talk about how we fight back. Let's pivot to the solution. This is the resilience blueprint for 2026, how we build an architecture that can actually be defended. The absolute cornerstone of any modern defense strategy is something called zero trust architecture. It's a really simple idea, but it's incredibly powerful. Basically, we throw out the old idea that anything inside our network is safe. Instead, we live by a new motto: never trust, always verify. It means every single person, every device, every application has to prove who they are every single time they try to access anything. No exceptions.
So, zero trust sounds great in theory, right? But what does it actually look like on a noisy, busy factory floor? Well, it boils down to 4 key steps. 1, you lock down who can get in with multi-factor authentication. 2, you chop up your network into tiny, isolated zones. We call this microsegmentation, so if an attacker gets in one place, they can't move anywhere else. 3, you use AI to hunt for threats proactively. And 4, and this is the most important part for manufacturing, you do all of this with something called an overlay architecture.
Now, this right here, this is the magic bullet, especially for manufacturing. You know all that old equipment, the brownfield systems that you can't possibly patch or replace? An overlay architecture is a total game changer. Think of it like a smart, software-defined security blanket that you lay on top of your existing network. It enforces all those zero-trust rules without you ever having to touch the sensitive machines underneath. That means you get modern security without any of the risk or cost of a massive rip-and-replace project.
All right, let's bring this all home with a really powerful shift in thinking. This is where we stop seeing security as just another expense and start seeing it for what it really is: a massive competitive advantage. The entire conversation around security is changing. For years, the big question from the board was, are we compliant? Did we check all the boxes? Now, the only question that actually matters is, can we keep making and shipping our product safely even while we're under attack? This takes security out of the server room and puts it right at the center of business continuity. And this right here, this sums it all up perfectly. When you invest in a truly resilient security program, you're not just buying software. You're buying an insurance policy for your uptime. It's what gives your business the confidence to keep running no matter what. And frankly, in a world of shaky supply chains, being the partner who can guarantee delivery, well, that's a huge driver of trust and credibility with your customers.
So I'll leave you with this one last thought. I want you to take a really hard look at your own strategy, your budgets, and your company culture. Are you building a security program just to pass an audit and check a box? Or are you building one that's truly designed to withstand the kind of industrialized, AI-powered attacks we know are coming in 2026? Because that answer, well, that's going to define your future.